You're with Christine Layton, live from Midland Gate Shopping Centre for Hello Midland, right here on ABC Radio Perth and WA.
Don't mind me playing the piano. Now, we are at Midland Gate Shopping Centre. I'd love to know if you have links to Midland. I've actually got Brad from Mandurah on the line who has a story to tell us about the Midland Workshop. G'day, Brad.
Yeah, good day, Christine. Yeah, thanks for your time. Yeah, what it is, Christine, yeah, we're trying to, we've got a group called the Friends of the Midland Railway Workshops, and we're trying to establish a rail heritage museum at the workshops because, you know, you have the railway museums, which are trained, of course, but at the workshops there's so many different trades and skills, so it's also a skills industry. So we're trying to establish a rail heritage workshop. But, yeah, we've been having all sorts of problems with the government trying to negotiate to get this done, but we're still pushing.
So you were a retro plater, is that right, Brad?
That's right, yeah. I was a retro plater at the workshops, and after it closed, I set my own business up in Kelmscott. And, yeah, we've been going about 30 years, and we've won a few Telstra Small Business Awards. Had no experience with business whatsoever. So that just shows you that, you know, the skills, what were learned at those workshops in Midland, will never be replaced.
Yeah, that's such a good way to put it, Brad. Thank you for coming on. Let me know if you have links to Midland, because that's what we're talking about. We know that the Midland Railway Workshops were an integral part of the fabric of this place from the early years. They ran for close to a century. They were the hub for maintenance of the WA rail system. But it was also an important training ground, as we just heard from Brad. In its heyday, the workshops employed 3,500 people and trained several thousand apprentices. So when it shut on March the 4th, 1944, it had a huge impact. So Kevin Mountain was a timekeeper and was at work that day in 1994. Good afternoon, Kevin.
Good afternoon, Christine.
Thank you so much for coming down to the broadcast.
Absolute pleasure.
I have to say, I love the pins on your tie. I can see 35 years of West Rail and a beautiful, beautiful train. Take us back to that day. What was it like on the 4th of March, 1994?
It was a very traumatic day. I had no advice from the management what to do, so I went to work as usual, starting at 6:30. I opened the time office, had it ready for the men to come in at 7 o'clock, and the men started coming in. Then a chap from the wagon shop came in, and he had a fighting swan.
A fighting swan?
Yes. When Hayden Bunton came to Swan Districts from South Australia in 1961,
he
had the fighting swan instead of just a sitting duck.
I understand.
And this man from the wagon shop had made me a model of the fighting swan out of a scaffolding plank which was going to be burnt.
And what did that mean to you?
I cried my eyes out at the way he just thought of me and to make me a fighting swan. Several other men came in and gave me boxes or bunches of pistachio nuts.
Did they?
Yeah, I'd never tried a pistachio nut, and now I'm a keen favourite of eating pistachio nuts.
You've got nice memories attached to them. What was it like to have to sign the final timesheets for those you'd gotten to know so well?
That was another terry job because we had to fill in the timesheets for all the leave due. And on the bottom of it, you put pay all monies due.
Okay.
And that was that, and the timesheets got wet. With tears, yes. So it's very traumatic.
As a timekeeper, what was your role? Tell me.
Well, I used to open the gates and let the people in. If they were late, we'd dock them. One man came in one morning and said he was late. He said I had a flat battery.
Yeah.
And I said, well, why don't you pump it up?
So did you dock him? Or, could you get away with it? How did it work?
Well, no, he got fined a quarter of an hour's pay. One man came in and said he was late because he had to race his pregnant wife to hospital.
Yeah.
And I said, did you beat her? And, yeah.
That's very funny. Yeah. I mean, if they're racing, that is. But, yeah. I mean, you didn't dock his pay because he was taking her to hospital,
I did dock his pay, but they let him to work through his lunch hour to recoup the money he would have lost.
Oh, wow. You were very regimented. I suppose you'd probably have to be, right? Is that why
you did. You had to be, yes. Even that Mr. Bradford that rang you earlier, his father worked in the workshops in the wood mill.
Are you talking about Brad?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was a wood machinist, his dad. Yeah.
I love that you knew that just from the sound of his voice. 5 minutes to 1, Kevin Mountain is with me. We're talking about the West Rail Workshop. He was a former timekeeper there. Now, you were 58 when the workshops closed. What did you do after that? Were you offered a redundancy, another job? What did it mean for you?
Well, I got a phone call about 8:15 saying I had to report to the flagpole at 9 o'clock where I was going to lower the flag. And which I did. I lowered the flag, and that brought the end of the workshops to a closure. Yeah.
And what did it mean for you in terms of work? Did you...
Well, I got a job offer from the redeployment office in Eric Charlton's office, organising meetings and agendas and taking minutes. And I declined because I'd finish up in jail.
Why?
And they said, well, why would you finish up in jail? And I said, well, I'd be the biggest leak in his office. I'd be getting even with him for closing the workshops.
Aha. All right. I see where you're going with that, Kevin.
Yes.
Well, good that you're honest. So how did people used to get paid in those days? Did you have to pay them as well?
No. We used to hang on their docket board a paid cheque, and they got paid at 10 different playing spots in the workshops.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you miss most about the workshops? Was it the camaraderie?
The camaraderie, yes. Yep.
Who did what? Did you have drinks after work? Did you all go out together? What was it like?
Well, we had a sporting club, yes. We had a lousy club. We had all sorts of things like that.
A lousy club?
Yes.
What do you mean?
We had, they used to put in so much money each week to, say, one collector, and you got that amount of money back at Christmas time, but the interest went to the collector of the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
What sport did you play?
I played football, tried to play football, I tried to play baseball, and I tried to play cricket.
Oh, yeah, okay. Batter or bowler in cricket?
At cricket, I was a bowler.
Very good.
Yes.
All right, yep. So historian Bobby Oliver told Russell Wolf on breakfast this morning that she hopes there's one day a museum inside the workshop buildings. What would you think of that?
Yes, I'd go along with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
What would it need to have inside?
Well, it need to have a lot of the machinery they're having trouble moving it now, like the dog spike machine, which made the nails to hammer the railway lines onto the wooden sleepers. Because of the foundations are so perfect, they'll have to be blasted out with dynamite. So that could be probably stay there and still manufacture the dog spikes.
There is so much more I want to ask you, but I should have just dedicated the whole 3-hour show to you. Look, Kevin, what is one thing that people should know about Midland?
That it's probably the best suburb in the metropolitan area. It's covered by rail, naturally, buses, and hospital, a new hospital.
You've got everything.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's great. I could put the clock in front of you and you know that news is coming up in 45 seconds and therefore we have to go, former timekeeper. Kevin Mountain, it's been wonderful to speak to you this afternoon. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Look at that. He's got a full crowd. He could just co-host this afternoon. It's been good fun. We've got another 2 hours of this after the news, in fact. Have you heard of Jack Sue? It's a name emblazoned on the front of a landmark building in Midland. We are going to hear the history of that building after the news. It's 1 o'clock.